Hello there and welcome from me, Rukidi Edward Kijanangoma, to our second and final bulletin this evening here on UBC TV. It is Monday, the 31st day of March 2025. First though, let's have a look at what's making headlines at this hour. Jessica Lupo appeals to veterans as the 2026 elections draw closer. Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited assumes power distribution from Umeme Limited. The opposition in Parliament blames budget indiscipline on corruption and reckless expenditure. And in sports, Uganda Cubs lose to Morocco in the Total Energies CAF Under-17 Africa Cup of Nations 2025. Hello there and welcome once again. We are coming to you live online and on air from Broadcasting House here on Nile Avenue. Now, the Vice President, Jessica Lupo, has appealed to retired army officers to diffuse any harmful propaganda during the forthcoming general elections. The Vice President also discouraged electoral violence, stressing to veterans that such violence hampers development, breeds betrayal and bloodshed. Alupo, in company of Minister for Security, Major General retired Jim Muhwezi, was assessing the implementation and success of the Parish Development Model Program. Alupo first met the District Executive Committee leaders of veterans and leaders of veterans from all the 20 sub-counties of Katakwi District at her home before addressing leaders and the general public. Take a watch.
The people in front of us are very powerful leaders for veterans in Katakwi district. The purpose of our being here today, the minister and other leaders, is that I would like to know from them how, in their view, government programs are being disseminated, are percolating to the grassroots, because they live with the people in the villages. Let's tell our people that the army is now very consolidated, and all those that err are arraigned before the law, courts of law, and there is no general victimization again of people who serve in the army like long time ago. And that makes us now again to reignite the issue of telling our children the history of Uganda, so that they can know that the peace we are now enjoying is not a coincidence. It was the deliberate effort by the revolutionaries led by His Excellency the President, first to reject the other teams which were abusing the rights of people, destabilizing the country year in, year out. But secondly, take control of the country under the constitution. And that's why now we have the peace across the whole country. I want to request you today, as you are amongst the community, to ensure that you continue diffusing harmful propaganda from any candidate at all levels who is trying to mislead people, so that the campaigns which are coming remain peaceful. The campaigns focus on issues of the people and service delivery, and not degenerating into personality issues. You, the veterans, know what happened in Okore. You, the veterans, know what happened in Kapujan. In this election, it should not happen again. And you should start early as opinion leaders and elders. Honorable Minister, in the last election, death occurred here. You as veterans, you are leading other veterans. use the language now which should discourage anyone, whether within or those who come as visitors and go back after causing problems, so that that does not happen in our district again. Election violence. So the veterans are extremely very important to government, and government will continue being connected to you.
Now, in the latest news, the Uganda People's Defense Forces has refuted claims that their pilots were kidnapped in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The UPDF Acting Director Communications, Colonel Chris Magezi, also says the claims on mass soldier deaths in the DRC are false and unfounded.
I've seen some media reports talking of 2 pilots who were abducted in Bukavu, in eastern DRC, Ugandan pilots. A plane had been chartered by the International Committee of the Red Cross to evacuate some of their people in Bukavu. They flew there, but landed when the situation had dramatically changed. And the report suggests that one person on the aircraft was shot and later succumbed to their injuries, and the 2 pilots have been abducted. These are civilians, operating commercial charter services. So government of Uganda, through the relevant diplomatic channels, are following up on this matter. So UPDF is not involved in this at all. But of course we are concerned that our fellow citizens have been harmed in some place. And we will do everything required if we are asked to provide any assistance required.
Also the groups which were attacked, the 600 soldiers.
That information is a total fabrication. It is a fake news. Someone sat somewhere and came up with some creative imagination, which is actually bad will, alleging that we have lost so many. But it's not true at all. We are very transparent in the way we conduct business. UPDF, we are very transparent. We have not been engaged in any serious hostilities in our operation in Sudan so far, South Sudan and the Eastern DRC, save for about 10 days ago when our forces in Fataki were attacked by Codeco militias, a random militia group, and they learned a bitter lesson. I hope they will never try to attack a UPDF defensive position again, because they lost heavily. But since then, the situation is calm, nothing to worry about too much. In fact, yesterday, our forces spanned out from Fataki into a neighboring small town called Bule, and they received a very rousing and heroic welcome. It demonstrates UPDF's traditional, special, and historical relationship it has always had with the people, ordinary people, wherever we have operated, here in Uganda and neighboring countries like Congo, even in Somalia, in Central Africa. So, and that's one of our key pillars of strength as UPDF, that wherever we go, we always strive to build that strong relationship with the people, and they see the work we do, they see our transparency, our honesty, our goodwill, and they appreciate it. That's why our troops were celebrated yesterday like heroes, really, in Bole in Eastern Congo.
Colonel Chris Magezi ending that story there. Now, Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited has assumed control of power distribution from Umeme Limited. This follows the conclusion of the utility company's 20-year concession. Dennis Sigoa now covered the milestone event and now reports.
Umeme Company Limited has officially handed over its distribution assets to Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited, marking the end of the utility company's 20-year concession.
Umeme Board and Executive, Mr. Patrick Vitatura and your team, that we are still together. We have to conclude naturally because this is not a termination. People should understand the difference between a termination and a natural retirement of an agreement.
So the MD, Mr. Mwesigwa, please ensure that the teams that you have recruited, you address issues of change management, culture. You're marrying two cultures. How do you ensure a competent team to deliver on the new task? So it's not over. You've recruited, but the teams must mingle. The teams must work together.
Umeme Limited Chairman Patrick Bitature expressed dissatisfaction with the government's buyout offer, stating that despite the US dollars 118 million hitting the Umeme account, they are not contented. A special audit report by the Auditor General reduced the anticipated buyout amount from US dollars 190 million to $118 million.
I need to assure my shareholders that buyout amount is not what they expected. But that's for another day. We shall talk about another day. We shall have an AGM. We have worked in good faith with the government of Uganda, and I'm sure we're going to conclude these discussions. We have received our payment, the initial payment that was undisputed, and for that we are very grateful. For anybody who doubted us, Friday we received over $120 million in our account. I thank you, Madam Minister, for that payment. We're going to address all the challenges remaining.
The Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, Dr. Ruth Nankabirwa, said a one-month harmonization period has been set aside to resolve outstanding matters related to the buyout and other queries.
From 1st of April, the Auditor General and everybody concerned will be sitting with the Umeme to harmonize. How can that be a problem? In the Auditor General's report, it was very clear that that wasn't the conclusive one because there is work which Umeme is still doing.
Umeme takes pride in having transformed Uganda's electricity sector from a time of inefficiency, low connectivity, limited technical capacity, among others, to a period of expanded electricity access, reduced energy losses, and significant infrastructure investment worth over $800 million.
Live with a sense of gratitude and satisfaction on what we have been able to achieve. And Uganda is looked at, though the energy system is still in infancy, Uganda is looked at as a model of what other countries can do.
The decision that was done by the government for us to take over power distribution was mainly based on our presentation as UDCL and the demonstration in terms of governance, in terms of efficiency, financial sustainability, digital operation environment of our systems.
The Minister of Energy and Mineral Development plans to revise procurement requirements to allow the new electricity distributor to make swift financial decisions, ensuring the network runs efficiently. The end of Umeme concession ushers in a new chapter where government takes over the electricity distribution. But the true test lies on how effectively and smoothly this transition will be managed. Dennis Igor for UBC News.
Dennis Sigoa with that story there. Now, Umeme Company Limited has expressed optimism about the future despite the expiry of power distribution mandate in Uganda. Umeme Board Chairperson Patrick Bitature talked to UBC, where he emphasized government support for the new power distributor to meet the rapidly growing power demand and address challenges posed by the power distribution network.
Reflecting on Umeme's 20-year legacy, Patrick Bitature expressed pride in the utility company's achievements, which have elevated the brand beyond borders.
But we can look at other countries. Several countries in Africa have invited us. World Bank has invited us. They've told us, please come, don't give up what you've done, because you've built such a good brand, a good record. So we are not worried about the future. There are so many opportunities. It depends on appetite of the shareholders.
As the assets are handed over to EDCell, Bitature urged the government to adopt significant operational changes to effectively manage the inherited infrastructure and serve the millions of customers on the grid.
Most of our staff, but holding it together at the governance level is not an easy task. So they have to be very strong. We're here to support them, so it's a big deal. For us as Umeme, we knew 20 years was coming, and we are psychologically prepared to hand over this network. It's not like we're holding on. We tried to negotiate with the government a few years ago, but clearly they thought that we're giving a lot of profit to the shareholders. If that profit element is removed, and it's only government run, because a public utility should not be making profit in their view. So we understood that. So we are psychologically prepared. We told our shareholders we're going to hand over. We're no longer negotiating to keep the concession or to extend it.
Regarding the buyout amount, which has already been deposited into Umeme's account, Bitature expressed dissatisfaction with the payment.
They were playing safe. Everyone's doing their job to the best they can. So they've played safe and they've only paid $118 million. We expected something around 200 million plus. So there's a gap, which we're going to sit down and negotiate in the next 30 days. Failure to agree, we take our documentation to an arbitration. Unfortunately, it's in London. I was hoping it would be in Uganda, but it's in London. So we are going to, they choose one of the judges, we choose one, and then the two of them choose the third. And that will be full and final binding documentation. Their decision will bind us all.
He also highlighted the unresolved issue of over 500 billion shillings owed to the Electricity Transmission Company Limited.
Electricity and pay them 30 days after. So we just have to do a reconciliation exercise. All the power we've got, you know, when we began selling power, it was a very small amount. But now we're doing 200 billion shillings per month. So when you hear 513 billion, that's 2 months reconciliation. That's all that you bring forward. So don't let that be a cause for alarm. Everything.
Abdul Nasir Lubama, UBC.
From Umeme issues, let's now go to the August House, where the opposition in Parliament has blamed the budget indiscipline to corruption and reckless expenditure. While presenting the alternative budget priorities for the financial year 2025-2026, the leader of opposition in Parliament, Joel Senyonyi, said the taxpayers' money is misappropriated with no accountability. The opposition wing stresses prioritizing health and education. In this running financial year, Parliament approved 6.54 trillion shillings a supplementary budget. Here is our reporter, Daniel Mugoya, with more.
The consultative process by the opposition on the budget priorities for the financial year 2025-2026 has gained momentum with the campaign headed by the opposition wing in Parliament. The leader of opposition, Joel Senyonyi, invited some of the political party presidents and members of the civil society to understand the economic outlook for the next financial year.
Our alternative budget priority areas, ladies and gentlemen, are grounded in the principles of equity, fiscal responsibility, and public accountability. We are committed to realigning Uganda's financial priorities to serve the people of Uganda.
Government revised the budget estimates to 71.9 trillion in the forthcoming year, despite members in the opposition citing reckless spending.
Persistent fiscal indiscipline, excessive borrowing, and corruption have put immense pressure on our economy. The high cost of debt servicing, which consumes over 30% of our budget, has left little room for investment in critical sectors. Inflation remains a huge concern, with rising prices of essential commodities such as food, fuel, and healthcare.
The leaders of different political parties, including No President Robert Kyagulanyi, and a section of members in the civil society, attended the conference on alternative budget priorities, where curbing corruption has been emphasized.
Corruption is too cool a name to give to what is being done. A while ago, the head of Transparency International defined corruption, and I agree with him, as the cold and calculated robbery of a people's future, of people's opportunities. And I agree. The Auditor General's report of 2023-2024 alluded to the fact that over 316 billion is lost in the medical field due to corruption. And this is out of expired drugs.
Government has secured 6.54 trillion shillings as supplementary budget in the financial year running 2024-2025, increasing the budget approved from 72.136 trillion to 78.676 trillion shillings. The opposition attributes this emerging supplementary to poor planning.
We must improve public debt management to reduce excessive borrowing and commitment fees. That's what we are saying as the opposition. 2, we've got to strengthen budget discipline by eliminating unnecessary supplementary budgets.
It is my humble prayer that if only we could put our resources to create an environment for every people to thrive, to do something, and they derive a livelihood, and they have a decent meal, and they live to their full potential, then the rest shall fall in position.
Areas including poor physical planning and uncollected waste remain challenges that need to address. Members in the opposition want government to revise the priorities. Daniel Mugoya, UBC News.
The Deputy President of Forum for Democratic Change, FDC party, Hassan Kaps Fungaru, has voiced the party's position on the recent deployment of the Uganda People's Defense Forces to South Sudan. He told a press conference at the party headquarters at Najana Kumbi that such decision directly undermines the 2018 peace agreement.
The UPDF should be withdrawn from South Sudan. The continuous presence and operations of the UPDF in South Sudan are endangering 3 things. Number 1, it is endangering the implementation of the peace agreement that has brought the relative peace we have seen in South Sudan, the 2018 peace agreement, in the sense that the UPDF's deployment there is not on the terms of peacekeeping, not a peacekeeper. The UPDF has gone there to side with one side of the conflict. Therefore, it brings loss of confidence on Uganda, the role of Uganda in the conflict in South Sudan. Uganda should have gone there as a peace promoter, a peacekeeper, not a party to the conflict. In the present situation, the UPDF presence there has put Uganda to be party to the conflict in South Sudan. That's bad. We, as FDC, also propose that the world should support the existing UN peacekeeping mission in South Sudan and upgrade it to a peace enforcement mission if there is a need for additional use of force, for which the UPDF claim to have been deployed there. Or those who support the deployment of the UPDF to South Sudan say that the UPDF is there to provide military support so that they can protect lives and property in South Sudan.
We'll now take a short break, but we'll be returning with much more. Do stay with us.
Come on, mo pocket, tambula body street, shoes are my target. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. I'm in a plantation, but on a global mission, internet ambition, full condition. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. All cash is gone, netagayo kaloni, nigga mukafoni, money in the zone. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable.
MTN together. Our ambition is unstoppable.
We are what? Unstoppable!
Amazina ganje ninyetekwa Seruhanga John Bosco ninduga mu district ya Rukungiri ndio muhanguzi wa miliyoni 18 na Uganda National Rotary nzahangurire urwo mu kuzana star 278 ash ngafuna message eriko ndio muhanguzi nashemererwa konka nabaza kugira ngo neri yabafere sente ziriyo zona bakaziteka ko nazihangwira.
Uganda National Lottery. Dream, play, win.
Participants must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The Uganda National Lottery is operated by Ituba Uganda and regulated by the National Lotteries and Gaming Regulatory Board.
According to the Uganda Bureau of Statistics Census Report of 2016 in Uganda, 12.4% of the population, about 4.5 million, live with a disability. Limited access to ICT and assistive technologies increases digital disparities, prompting UCOSAF's aim to promote digital inclusiveness for persons with disabilities. The ICT for People with Disability program aims to improve the accessibility of education and technology for persons with disabilities and promote their full and effective participation in society. UCOSAF is implementing this program through the creation and maintenance of an online observatory for persons with disabilities intended to link persons with disabilities with service providers and different programs that empower them, and provision of adaptive tools that enhance their quality of life through ICTs and digital skilling.
Welcome back from that break, and this is News Tonight here on UBC TV. A warm welcome to those of you just joining us. I am Rukidi Edward Kijanangoma. Moving on now, the pistol alleged to have been used in the murder case of businessman Henry Katanga has been shown to court by prosecution. Witness Derek Kasawali. Now, this was during the hearing of the case at High Court Criminal Division in Kampala. Kasawali told court that the residues which were got from the alleged pistol were connected with the swabs that were got from the right hand of the key suspect.
Prosecution witness number 11, Derek Kasawali, a firearms examiner at Uganda Police Forces Forensic Department, has testified in court. Prosecution witness number 11, Derek Kasawali, a firearms examiner and the head of ballistic at Uganda Police Forces Forensic Department, has testified in court. Kasawali told court that on 3rd and 6th November 2023, his laboratory received several exhibits that included a black pistol, live ammunitions, a projectile and a pistol magazine that were recovered from the master bedroom of the deceased Henry Katanga, which was the scene of crime. The aim was to see whether the said pistol was capable of discharging bullets. Kasawali also added that he received clothing that were discovered from the widow Mole Katanga, her daughter Patricia Kakwanza, a doctor's shirt that belonged to the accused Ota Echaris, to examine them and establish if they had any gunpowder residue. Other exhibits included swabs, which were got from the right hand of the accused Mole Katanga, swabs from her late husband Henry Katanga gunshot wounds, and swabs from the black pistol. Kasawali told court that he examined the exhibits, the gunshot residues from the pistol, which were detected on Mole Katanga change-free dress recovered from the master's bedroom, their daughter dress, and the late Katanga's gun entry wound on his left ear. The witness also connected the 7 blades, including the one that was used in the alleged pistol, to other exhibits, including the hands of the accused Mole Katanga.
Of differing marks and consisted, finding means that the general characteristics, the general look, and the microscopic small details in the samples obtained from testifying the submitted card were similar to those observed.
Other exhibits included the used bullets and used pistol magazines, among other exhibits, and they were tendered in court.
How many a day? How many rounds? One.
The alleged black pistol and the cartridge were shown to court.
The pistol whip is the serial number and the brand mark. I'm going to cross-check with the serial number and the brand mark and make sure they're the ones.
Derek Kasauli was later cross-examined by the defense legal team, challenging his evidence to court. Court resumed tomorrow, and the key suspect, Mole Katanga, was further remanded to Luzira Government Prison. Deborah Namamonde, Viola Nansubuga, UBC News.
The National Union of Disabled Persons Uganda, NUDIPU, has decried increased rates of domestic violence against women living with disabilities in the country. According to NUDIPU, the spike in vulnerability has been caused by inadequate access to sexual or reproductive health services. This was revealed during a press conference at NUDIPU offices that winds up the International Women's Month for the year 2025.
The recent study by the National Union of Disabled Persons Uganda of 2024, 65% on gender-based violence, shows that the most affected individuals were women and girls living with disabilities. The survey was done in 4 districts of Karamoja sub-region. The report also indicated that 90% of perpetrators were men and boys without disabilities.
Here of those districts, Nakapiripirit, Kapchora, Moroto, and Kotido. Now, in terms of the national statistics, these are areas where there is a high prevalence rate of GBV. And therefore, in agreement with our partners, we zeroed in on these to do the study and inform the program which is being run about GBV in those districts.
The most affected persons are persons with disabilities. Yet again, GBV service providers don't have capacity and expertise to provide disability inclusive services when these kind of persons go for accessing such services to them.
Inadequate access to sexual reproductive health services, limited empowerment of women with disabilities, and other environmental and economic barriers also affected women with disabilities.
Therefore, the government should also support the existing village savings and loans associations or groups of persons with disabilities with various programs such as PDM, EMIOGA, WEP, YLP, National Disability Grants, among others, to boost their household incomes.
NUDIPU wants action from all relevant stakeholders to remove all barriers that hinder gender equality.
The government should provide free legal aid services for persons with disabilities who are GBV survivors seeking justice in the courts of law.
Hasauma Brenda from Uganda National Association for the Blind appealed to government on provision of free legal aid services to survivors of gender-based violence seeking justice.
Women with disabilities are raising their children singly because they get into relationships that are not lasting, and it is due to their disability. So they are usually abandoned, and also their children are neglected. They are not, so they have to look after them as single mothers.
Gender equality and women's empowerment are concerns in highlighting the role of women and girls with disabilities. The call comes as the country ends the International Women's Month celebration 2025 on the theme Accelerate Action for Gender Equality. Cayenne Faith, Andrew Sebida for UBC.
To Masindi district now, where Masindi district has launched construction of a 1.5 billion shillings hospital. The multi-billion Masindi hospital construction is being undertaken by the UPDF Engineering Brigade. The Western Regional Project Manager for the UPDF Engineering Brigade, Captain Yunus Tegeki, confirmed receipt of 500 million shillings for the first phase. He told the media that they will start with 2 buildings comprising 16 self-contained staff quarters for health workers. The first phase of the project is expected to cost 1.5 billion shillings and completion will take 1 year. The acting hospital medical superintendent, Dr. Musinguzi Rogers, was happy since they were operating in dilapidated structures. He requested for fast construction of the theatre and maternity ward to absorb the overwhelming number of mothers in the region. Masindi District Chairperson Cosmos Biaruhanga said modernizing hospitals will improve service delivery. Masindi Hospital was earlier constructed by Uganda Railways in 1920 as a dispensary, initially to serve 50,000 people. It now caters to over 500,000 residents from Masindi, Chiriandongo, Nakasongola and Bulisa districts. The high dropout rate among students with disabilities has become a pressing issue, with many unable to continue with education due to unfavorable learning conditions. The chairperson of Disability Lango Sub-Region, Matthew Mara, says many disabled children fail to go beyond primary school due to limited resources. Let's get more in this story.
Persons with a disability are concerned about the high school dropout rate among disabled students, which is largely due to unfavorable learning conditions and environment. According to the chairperson PWDC Lango, many disabled individuals attempt to access education at an early age, particularly at the primary level. However, a significant number are unable to progress beyond primary school, limiting their educational opportunities.
We visually impaired, when we complete our primary levels, we just go back because there is no way to go in terms of extending our learning in senior secondary education, purposely because we don't have this type of schools within Lao Sub-Region and entire northern Uganda.
Speaking during the handover of computers and desks donated by MTN to enhance learning for disabled children at St. Mary Goretti Secondary School, Ngeta, Omara stressed the need for development partners to support inclusive education initiatives.
We persons with disability, if you empower us in terms of education, we are able to perform like the other community members.
And we are here to support the disadvantaged or disabled children with 3 fully equipped computers equipped with JAWS Braille software, and then also 40 desks for the students.
The government has been urged to intervene in supporting schools for disabled children, as these learners are highly vulnerable and providing inclusive education is costly.
Ministry of Education and Sports, and today that is the line ministry, and the curriculum designers of this country, if they would bring in an aspect of health science, instead of making them do general science, we bring in health science, because even general science is quite hectic on the side of the school, because you have to bring in study models. If I'm talking about the mammalian skeleton, it has got to be there, the child has got to touch it.
Like we are in new curriculum. There is a lot of research to be done.
Learners are optimistic that the donation will boost their learning and help them in research as provided in the new curriculum. Ediulwa, UBC News.
Kama nemo pocket, tambula body street, issues are my target. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. I'm in a plantation, but on a global mission, internet ambition, full condition. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. Oro cash is gone, netaga yo karoni, niga mukafoni, money in the zone. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. We are good.
With you and MTN together, our ambition is unstoppable.
We are what? Unstoppable!
Welcome back. Let's have a look now at business news. And the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, UBOS, has released the end of March Consumer Price Index, where the annual inflation for the 12 months to March 2025 is 3.4% compared to 3.7% registered in the year ended February 2025. Uganda Bureau of Statistics says for the month of February 2025, the monthly headline inflation increased by only 0.2% from 0.6%, and of course that's attributed to an increase in the monthly core inflation by 0.1% in March 2025.
The slowdown in monthly headline inflation, registered at 0.2%, is largely attributed to the annual core inflation of food crops and related items, energy, fuel and utilities.
Matoke prices are slowing down to 0.5% decrease compared to the increase registered in February. Cassava price changes about tenfold decrease compared to what registered for the year ending February.
Monthly energy, fuel and utilities decreased by 0.3% in March 2025 from the 0.4% drop registered in February 2025.
We continue to register negative in the energy, fuel and utilities with a 0.4% in March decrease compared to the same rate in February. Firewood was one of the main contributors here, at minus 1.8% decrease compared to 1.0% in February. Charcoal prices, another decrease compared to a decrease in February of 1.0, another decrease of 0.7%.
The analysis by geographical areas and income groups revealed that Kampala registered the highest inflation at 4.3%, followed by Masaka at 4.1% and Mbale registering the least annual inflation at 2.0%.
Looking at the centers, the geographical centers, you'll find that Kampala again registered the highest increase, highest inflation at 4.3%. Compared to 4.8% which we recorded last month. And the main drivers here were the clothing and footwear inflation that increased from 6.2% compared to what we registered last month of 5.1%.
So the public needs to tighten budgets because the decrease in inflation doesn't necessarily mean the reduction in prices. Winnie Ainembabaz Katire and Dan Lugema for UBC.
Sports news now, and in the world of sports, we look at swimming, where the 12th edition of the Uganda Secondary Schools Gala happened at Nabumali High School in Mbale. Let's have the detailed story.
Schools participated in this year's Secondary School Swimming Gala at Nabumali High School. Competition had impressive performances from top national swimmers in Pendo Kaumi, Paloma Chirabo, Ian Aziku, and Rahuma Kalunji. Seroma Christian High School emerged overall victors for the first time in their history with 1,476 points, beating former 2024 Giants Green Hill in second position and British School of Kampala in third position. Some of the winners on the day expressed their happiness.
I've had a wonderful day. The rest have been okay. Some I was low, but then others I was high. And I'm proud of what I've done today. I'm looking forward to going for more events with better times and better performance.
My swimmers have really performed well. Most of them have made their PBs, like Kaumi Pendo, Aziku Ian. They've really done a nice job today.
And my best out of all of them was 100 free. I did so well. I got tired though, because it was tiring. 4 laps over full, of course.
This was the last ever gala under the Uganda Swimming Federation, which is set to be rebranded to Uganda Aquatics, starting with the Nationals in July. Marsha Miro Victor, UBC News.
We've almost come to the end of this bulletin, but before we leave you, let's have a recap of our top stories. Tonight, Vice President Jessica Lupo appeals to veterans as the 2026 elections draw closer. Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited assumes power distribution from Umeme Limited. The opposition in Parliament blames budget indiscipline on corruption and a reckless expenditure. And in sports, Uganda Cabs lose to Morocco in the Total Energies CAF Under-17 Africa Cup of Nations 2025. And that's all we had time for. Thank you so much for having kept us company. My name is Rukidi Edward Kijanangoma. Wishing you a blessed night and see you tomorrow.
UBC, inspiring Uganda. In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and